welcome to the Mixtape here on KSQ 89.5 FM Ashland, Oregon, 94.1 FM Medford, Oregon, and streaming online on kskqdjramo. We have Dez Fafara from Devildriver. What is up, Dez?
What's up, brother? Thank you so much for having me on, man. I appreciate it.
Dude, I am so stoked, man, because for me, like, you know, not only as a metal fan, as a musician, working festivals my whole life, the first time I got to see you live was the first time I actually got into metal, which was Ozfest 2004 when I was 15 years old. Before I listened to metal, you know, I was listening to like the Red Hot Chili Peppers, the Inland Ant Farm, a lot of things coming up, and then I saw you guys live, and you guys absolutely tore me a new one. So for me to be talking to you like about like 19 years later almost about them, it's just a dream come true, my friend.
All good, man. I appreciate you. Yeah, I actually remember that gig. And, I'm getting a lot of that lately about Devildriver. You know, hey, you're the one that got us into metal, or when we saw you live, you guys were so furious live on stage. And it's cool to hear, man. So, yeah, good to talk to you, and thanks for having me on.
Dude, of course, man. You know, there's so much to dive in. Of course, you know, your new album, Dealing with Demons Volume 2, which is absolutely sick. I literally have notes on everything, man. But I know definitely from a fan's perspective, I just want to ask you a few questions to start off. You know, you've had such a massive career starting out. You've been, you know, with Cold Chamber, Devildriver. I'm sure there's projects you did before. If you could go back to when you were a kid and having all these dreams of wanting to be a musician on stage, wanting to play with all these bands, and just being able to have a platform where you could fully express yourself, like seeing it now at your age now, is it everything you expected it to be?
I mean, look, there's been ups and downs just like any career, for sure, and I wouldn't change a damn thing, to be honest with you. I held my nose down to the grindstone when it came time to work, and that was with both of my bands, and it was time to tour. I mean, with Cold Chamber, I did the world multiple times with Pantera and Sabbath, etc. I did songs with Ozzy, you know, multiple gold records, what have you. With Devildriver, you know, started over from scratch with a new band, went way heavier in a time when that wasn't, you know, a thing, went underground. And, you know, I'm appreciative that, yeah, we're on album number 10. Over a 20-year career, things are still booming. I mean, in 2020, we released Volume 1. In the middle of the pandemic, that thing came out, hit number 3 over the course of the year, right behind Lamb of Testament. And now Dealing with Demons 2, Volume 2, it's just an insane record. I mean, most of the time when a record gets dropped, when a double record gets dropped by bands, you know, the second record is often B-sides, leftovers, etc. That's usually par for the course, but this thing, that is not the case with this record, and it's getting extremely high marks. And yeah, you know, I never really look back. I mean, I got forced kind of to look back this year because I did an autobiography. It's actually done and been edited. It comes out later on this year. It's a 2-book deal. It's actually my life when I was young through Cold Chamber, and then the Devildriver years is the next book. So I had to kind of look back at that point. Otherwise, I don't look back. So answering a question like that is, you know, it's difficult for me. You know, so is it everything that I thought it would be? Look, I have made my living off of art. Raised a family with 3 kids, and and so yeah, when I look at what I've done, I still think there's so much more to do, right? And I think as soon as you don't think that, then you're done. You know, have you achieved everything, or is it everything you thought it would be? The answer to that should be there is so much more to do.
Yes.
And I mean, I was in my studio last night till 3 a.m. writing for the next record. So that'll tell you where my head is at.
Oh, that is so awesome to hear, man. That's literally one of my favorite things about doing interviews like this, man, is just getting so inspired. And I've never heard that answer before. You know, it's like, no, I totally understand. It's like when like a football player or basketball player, they get like the contract they wanted, and then they just never start achieving for anything else because they just feel like they've plateaued. You know?
Yeah, that's not the case. It's never the case with art, right? So painter, sculptor, musician should always be what's the next thing, what's the next thing. And like I said, my record just came out. It dropped a week ago. It looks like it's charting extremely high at this point right now. We're getting a lot of, we're number 1 added at all metal across the board, at Contraband, which is called all metal across the board, basically. And I was in the studio last night till 3 a.m. writing for the next record. So it has to be like that. I mean, there'll be a time when I slow down. There'll be a time when I don't want to tour. There'll be a time when I don't have maybe that music in me. But now that I do, I just keep going, and I put my head down in the wind and I go.
Dude, that is so amazing, dude. Especially, having 3 kids and the family and to the right mindset, having a family and everything just boosts the motivation even more. I always don't like it when, I remember I have a son and a daughter on the way, and people would be like, oh, you're going to slow down. Oh, you're going to do this. I'm like, no, I have, even more inspiration.
I mean, look, you're going to slow down in the way, Sundays will be for the family.
Yep.
Or be home at a certain time to feed the kids. You want to be, the thing is with me is I'm Italian. I'm incredibly private. I'm probably one of the most private guys in this business. It's why I'm putting out the autobiography, so people can get a gist of who I was as a kid, or, that I left home at an early age, that I slept under bridges, I stole food, I went to jail. So people can see where I come from, right? And I think, yes, when you have kids, you'll slow down, but it'll be a different kind of slow down. Like me, I don't have boys' night out, with my guys or whatever. I hang out with my woman. She's my best friend, right? When I hang out with kids, if I'm not touring, I hang out with my kids. I consider myself a father and a husband first, and then I'm a musician, and then I'm a businessman because I run several large companies as well. So, look, get motivated by wanting to provide for your family. That was always my thing, right? I saved every dime. I put my money into stocks at an early age. I mean, I could have retired from this business years ago, certainly years and years and years ago. So just get motivated by that, right? When the kid comes up, he's going to want, school clothes. I mean, when my kids were coming up into high school, I supported DC basically. I bought, you know what I mean? And so you're going to be that, or okay, this car that we're driving, this is a junker. We got to get rid of it. We're going to have kids. You know what I mean? We need something safe. So that should drive you and motivate you to not only go out and make the money, but to do things you love. And this is what I would say to everybody listening. If you're doing something you don't love, change your direction right now. Right now. Life is way too short, and it's time to do things that we enjoy. I just happen to really enjoy both managing bands, because I have the Oracle management. It's got a huge roster on it. And I love making music, and I love touring with both of my projects. So as long as that keeps going, then I'll keep going. So get motivated by that, behind your kids, behind your family. Be family first.
That I love it, man. That is so incredible, and it's just, it makes me love Devildriver that much more. Just everything you stand for, Dez, it's just amazing, because it's true, if you do keep your life private, all there is really people speculating and not really knowing the hardships and what people have gone through, and it shows, even through this record on how greatly structured it is, how much emotion there is through all of it, because there's a lot of pretty into darkness, a lot of light into heavy, and this album and all your music, I can just tell it's so driven by emotion.
I appreciate it. Yeah, very true. So Dealing with Demons 1 and 2, let me give everybody a little background, right? We started in 2019. It's a double record. We wanted to make sure we had all killer, no filler. I wanted it short. Each one is 36 minutes, 38 minutes. They're meant to be listening to together. We dropped number 1 in 2020. We were going to drop. They're supposed to be coming out back to back, year to year. But of course, with everything going on, we held it over to release Volume 2 this year. So we had touring behind it. The record, Dealing with Demons, is exactly just that. Dealing with my inner demons, other people's inner demons, looking at society and what we're going through as a society right now, and actually just putting it out there, right? And I have a lot to get off my chest. The only way to do that is to do a double record. And then I've been around a long time, so there's things you want to do before you take a slow walk into the sunset. One of them was a double record. We just happen to have an abundance of material that was really incredible material. I said, okay, I'm not willing to let half of this go to waste. So I hit the company up and said, the record company, and said, listen, we want to do a double record, and they got behind us. It's a daring venture. A lot of bands won't want to do it, and like I said, because Volume 2 is usually B-sides, leftovers, and you can smell it. You can So you can feel it when you get that second record. This one is getting even higher marks in volume 1. We're getting 5 out of 5s, 10 out of 10s. We're charting high. I mean, it's incredible for a band that's been around this long. If you have 3, 4 records in this business, it's a miracle. If you have 2 to 5 to 6 years in this business touring, it's a miracle. I've been around almost 30 years, and Devildriver's been around almost 20. This is our 10th record. To have it doing this well, and it looks like it's going to chart very high. I mean, I feel incredibly blessed and grateful. This all comes from a work ethic that I have, right? I was raised blue collar. My dad was a contractor. I was on the job site. Yeah. All I know is work, 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 and keep your ego to a minimum, right? And in my business, ego and the id, like rules singers, they get what's called lead singer's disease, right? And where they become the character they've created, they become the singer they've created. Like, I never did that. I always step back into myself, step back into where I come from, step back into my family. But don't get me wrong, you hand me the microphone, I'm a beast. I'm like, I'm going to kick you in the face right now. You're getting a black eye. Get away from me. But as soon as I hand my microphone and my in-ears away, boom, I separate myself from that life. I'm not backstage partying. I'm not going to the strip clubs. I'm not watching everybody do cocaine. You know what I mean? It's like it's not happening for me. So I'm in it for the right reasons. And the right reasons is to develop and bring good art and to make sure that we keep bringing top-notch, what I think is top-notch metal. And, somebody said to me yesterday in interviews, like, Dez, you're poised to take over for this band or this band, and I was like, I don't think about it like that. I do my own thing. Devildriver doesn't fit anywhere, man. We're a square peg in a round hole, and that's good for me, right? Because we have a brand that we can do different things with, and we're not held to the fire like other metal bands are, right? Other metal bands are kind of held to the fire with their sound, and they got to keep it like Coca-Cola. If they try to deviate, if they put clean vocals or they do whatever, people are going to walk from them, right? Oh, it doesn't sound like the last record. All of Devildriver's records are different. So if you've never heard Devildriver right now, go ahead and listen to the first record. Go listen to the second record. Listen to the fifth record. They're nothing alike. And I think that's what I pride myself on the most, is that just say we're painters. We realize that as artists, we paint with red and black. We're going to make $1 million every time. And all we do is paint with red and black. You're not much of an artist. Go away, pack it up, you're done. We paint with all the colors, and we're not held to the fire with our brand. And I'm so thankful for all the listeners that have allowed us that freedom as artists to do that, because we've got so many influences in this band. I mean, I came up on punk rock, on early punk rock, goth, psychobilly. That's where I come from. I found metal later on. My guitar player, Mike, loves goth stuff as well as I do. Loves industrial metal. So you get so many influences when it comes to Devildriver. I think that's what's made us special over all these years, and that's the reason we've had a long career.
I couldn't agree more, because even talking about just like how you guys just stand on your own and have all these influences makes 100% sense. And when you stick to your guns from the very beginning, I think the fans and everybody can appreciate that and can appreciate that from you guys, because, like you said, you guys haven't replicated a product that you can just do over and over and over. And I feel like when you do that and when you try to stay in the bubble, a lot of times it takes away from just loving the music and being passionate about it. And one of the things I wrote down is, like, I love how, Dez, you do so much, you do a lot for this band, but you have such an amazing band around you. And just to have a long career, you have to have everybody buy in to the same idea on why you want to do music in the first place. And I just think that, like, you and everyone in your band are just such a powerhouse of musicians that you can tell from listening to this record, because my favorite song, of course, on this record, I even wrote OMG next to it, which is Through the Depths. I watched the video a bunch of times. There's so many beautiful things to the song. Nothing Lasts Forever, another amazing song. And what I love about your songs, too, is that it is a story throughout the song. Because you can start it off with something melodic, but then you end it with something melodic, or with just like an epic vocal breakdown with Nothing Lasts Forever. Just there's so many things that you guys go through it, and I think it's just you and your whole entire band just really buy into the fact that, like, you guys play straight from your hearts, and these are all emotional roller coasters.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I've been surrounded over the years by great players. I've been very fortunate. Of course, I've had some member changes, but I mean, even Metallica has, right? So that's the way that goes. And the thing is with me is I've always surrounded myself with guys who are great players and that will understand the word democracy.
Yep.
Right? So everybody has this kind of vision of like, oh, Dez runs the ship. Well, don't get me wrong. I'm the captain. If I'm on board and it's time to sail, it's like, right now, put up the sails. We're going. We're flowing out on the tide. We're rolling, right? But what I do with them when it comes to music is say, very democratic. Write what you feel. Write what you feel. I mean, here's a great example. Volume 1 has a song called Wishing on it, okay? Clean vocal, very Bauhausy, Sisters of Mercy, very much where I come from as a kid, right? Any other metal brand, and I'll name 10 bands right now, if they would have put that song on their record, they would have gotten lambasted in the press. People would have said, I'm leaving your Instagram, I'm not following you anymore. Like, I mean, literally, right? When we put that song out on Volume 1, all we got was, hey, we want more of this. Hey, what a great song. So, like I said, our brand is not held to the fire like Coca-Cola. I can make changes. I can put out something else with different colors, and for me, I would be dead in the water if I wasn't allowed to do that, man. I mean, so yeah, and I think being surrounded by good players and dudes who, frankly, dudes who know how to go on the road, that's a big deal. Because a lot of the times you got a musician and he's like, I'm ready to do this. He's a great musician. He's a great player. He's actually great on stage. But then you get him on a tour bus and 6 weeks in, you look at him and he looks like he's dying because they can't take the lifestyle. They can't understand the lifestyle. They can't take the lifestyle. Like, okay, well, when is the bus stopping? Or are we going to get a shower today? Like, are we eating? Like, I mean, it's a lifestyle that you got to keep up with. I've been doing it for years and years and years. I consider myself a pirate. And when it's time, when the tide comes in and out and it's time to sail, I get up and I go. Ships are not meant to be on land. And when I was born clearly as a pirate ship. And my mom will tell you the same thing. I was hell on wheels to raise. So it is what it is,
Dude, yeah, no, absolutely, man. It is a whole lot of sacrifice, especially, taking yourself away from like the norm, being able to shower every day, being able to eat every day and all that. And I think that's really awesome that, you have band members that understand, that like when it's time to take care of business, it's time to take care of business. And, one of the things I wanted to ask you too, it's like, I love that you guys always stick to your guns and are always really emotionally invested in the image you guys want to portray in these albums. Do you guys, one of the things I've been, sometimes I read comments and stuff on YouTube videos and all that, and you guys have been getting nothing but praise. You know what I mean? I've heard comments going like, dude, Dez is 30 years in the business and he sounds better than ever. Devildriver is just setting the standard once again and just doing their thing and just absolutely demolishing. Do you ever get caught up in any of your video comments or anything that anybody says on social media?
I don't, man. I don't. Because I don't read it. Like, I don't have time to read it. I don't have time to read the positive or the negative.
Yeah.
Right before the record came out, I deleted my Twitter after 10 years. My label was not real happy. Right? And they were like, hey, we need you to get on TikTok. And I'm like, and I'm not doing that.
Hell yeah.
Like, I mean, I'm retreating from the social media thing for real. And I understand, it's a way to communicate. It's a snippet. I mean, and I thank everybody for the great comments. And they're all talking to one another. And yes, I'll have like my press person from the label print out some stuff and send it to me or what have you. But I really don't fall into it, man. Look, you can hear 2 or 3 bad comments and you can ruin your day. Or you can hear 2 or 3 great comments and all of a sudden you're walking around with a big head that day. I don't let any of it affect me. I do my art. I hang with my family. I'm incredibly private, and then I go tour and I come home. Part of the reason of my success, and I will say 50% of it, is because I have a good woman behind me. Right? She's been with me since she was on the cover of Chamber Music, my second Gold Chamber record. She's raised kids with me. She's strong as hell. She's a 98-pound redhead that you do not want to mess with, right? And she is my rock. So that old story of good woman, good life, or bad woman will ruin your life, like that's true. And so I think when you have motivation, when you have people that are a rock behind you, when you've got yourself grounded, which in this business is like a dirty word, but when you're grounded, you can do anything. You know, I'll give you an example, right? I live in a neighborhood, right? Just like everybody else in a neighborhood. I got a nice house and a pool or what have you, but I live in a neighborhood, right? Somebody said to me the other day that was over here, like, man, aren't you, you know, you should be living in a gated community, bro. Like, and I go, yeah, I mean, I'll tell you a story of, like, you know, waking up one morning and there was a kid with a tent out in front of my house, like, you know, pitched the tent in front of my house, found out where I lived, waiting for me to come out to get an autograph, right? And he's like, you should be living behind gated. And I'm like, bro, I don't belong with those people. Like, it doesn't matter how much I'm worth or how much you think where I should be in the pinnacle of where I should live, right? I'm a blue-collar guy that, you know, will always remain that, will always keep that. So I think that factors into this record a great deal. If you listen to Volume 1 and Volume 2, especially Volume 2, there's a lot of life lessons in there. Okay, so, you know, this relationship broken is a life lesson. Listen, if you've had a bad relationship or if your relationship is going bad, go listen to that song. It's going to give you some leadership qualities on where to go. If you listen to Through the Depths, you're going to understand there's a disconnect between you and spirituality. And I'm not talking organized religion. I'm not talking about passive collection plate on tick. I'm talking about when's the last time you looked up at the sky and saw the stars? When's the last time you wished to the universe for something and you made it happen on your own? You can. You just got to do it.
Yeah.
So that song Through the Depths is about the disconnect between humans and the spiritual world. And I got deep with this record. I think it was important. I never know when my next record is going to be, if it's going to be my last. So every single thing I do as if it was my final brushstroke. And I've been doing that since after Gold Chamber. Because frankly, I had a massive career. I mean, I still do have a massive career with that band. But starting from scratch, I knew that, okay, this first Devildriver record, this may be the last one. I have no idea if there's going to be a career here, right? So everything I did was as if it was a final brushstroke. People are picking up on that, and I think that's a good thing. You know, that's a good thing.
Dude, I absolutely agree with every word. Everybody in Oregon and around the world, please listen to their new album, Dealing with the Demons. There's so much to learn from, just like how Dez was talking about in this interview. And it's just so inspiring, Dez, everything you're talking about, man. I wish you could see what I'm doing right now. I'm pacing back and forth in my bedroom and you smile on my face. Because
I paced back and forth too, and check it out. Right before you called me, we were listening to Sasquatch Chronicles, and they were talking about Bigfoot in Oregon. They were talking about like this, you know, a couple guys with the cops actually out camping that ran into a couple Sasquatch, like, and then you called from Oregon. Like, nothing is of consequence, right? It all happens for a reason, bro. So, you know, and I pace heavily while I'm discussing anything as well. I actually in my carpet in my studio here, there's like a line. Yeah. Anastasia just said we have hardwood floors. She put in these white hardwood floors because I pace so much when I'm doing interviews that I was pacing the carpet out in my living room.
I love it.
Yeah, bro.
It just, you know what? Just before I let you go, I just want to say how inspiring it is to talk to you, man. Like, I'm one of those people that puts his head down. You know, I woke up I was raised in a blue collar family too. I'm actually a framer. That's what I do for my job.
So I started as a framer, and then I met a bunch of dudes on motorcycles that were Hells Angels and started working with them, and I became a tender, right? So yep. I was a mud tender, right? And then I went into masonry, bricklaying, stone, and actually my neighbor just called me yesterday, hey, I'm getting ready to pour the sidewalk. Yesterday it was hot out here, and he's like, I'm getting ready to pour the sidewalk. You know how to use the trowel. And I said, yeah, I do. And he goes, can you come over and help? I said, no problem. So yesterday I was out there troweling concrete and just kind of going back over my life, talking with him as well, you know. And like, you know, he's like, when did you start doing this? I was like, man, I was working concrete when I was 18, 19 years old, you know. So I've been on the job site. If you are a framer, then you understand that thing. Show up, get it done.
Yep.
Don't bitch.
Yep.
And then let's beer 330, we're out of here.
Hell yeah, no, right. Totally it, dude. Hey, that's what my boss told me. He's like, Omar, if you show up, you'll get raises. Just be here on time, do your best, and the sky's the limit.
Yeah, I mean, and look, I've been sober for years, right? But I will tell you this, like a good cold beer at work, man. I mean, my thing was this with my guys that were underneath me. You can show up and you can work and you can be great, but you should show up with a cooler and ice and beer by 3:30. You know what I mean? And then next thing you know, everybody on the site is kicking it. You know, and it doesn't matter when you're on a job site. It doesn't matter what your religion is, what your color is, how old you are. If you're 18, you're hanging out with 65-year-old Nathan. I mean, I got my ass handed to me on the job site at an early age, and that, in essence, installed the work ethic that I have now, the work ethic that I instill around the guys around me. And I've had to say over the last couple, 10, 20 years or whatever, just to several musicians, like, stop your bitching. Yeah. Or you're going home. Like, yes, we just did 23 shows in a row. You need a break? Like, you're working an hour a day, bro. Shut up and just put your head down. Time to go to work. You know, luckily, that hasn't been in years and years and years and years. But sometimes you do have to install that work ethic in other people with whatever job you're in. You know, look, these records, Dealing with Demons 1 and 2, very important to me. I'm laying it down in a very special way. The songs have structure. They have hooks. They have choruses. Mm-hmm. A lot of metal out right now is not doing that, right? And so, well, I happen to love a lot of new stuff. There's also some other stuff that I'm like, man, if you just brought that hook in again, or if you just, mm-hmm. So it's very important for us musically to have that work ethic that we were just talking about, but B, also have that work ethic when it comes to the music and make sure that internally we write it how it's supposed to be written, which is, I got to have structure, so there you go, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dez Fafara from Devildriver, Dealing with the Demons Volume 2. Please listen to Dealing with the Demons Volume 1 as well. It's a great collection together. Last but not least, my friend, you've been an inspiration on me. Myself, I am sober too. I grew up in a blue-collar family. I worked my tail off for my kids. Last but not least, can you say this is Dez from Devildriver and you're listening to the Metal Mixtape?
What's up? This is Dez from Devildriver and you're listening to the Metal Mixtape. Turn it up.
Dez, have a great, beautiful day. I hope all the other interviews are awesome and just continued success with everything you do, my friend.
Thank you, brother. Yeah, I got about 6 more and then I'm jumping in the pool. Take care of yourself.
Later.